very, very warm welcome, Springboard Capital family. It is lunchtime, and as always, we are here. We are eager to serve you with a plate that will not only nourish your body, but also nourish your business and how you do your business. Now, at Springboard Capital, you all know that we are all about constantly working towards ensuring that our customers have the highest possible levels of running businesses. And that goes with compliance. We have spoken to you about accounting and managing your finances. And this afternoon, we are super eager to bring you tax compliance. We are talking all things taxation, making it very easy for you to relate it with your business, with yourself, with your other income, and any other questions you may have. And this afternoon, we have brought you none other than a representation of the regulator themselves. We have in the house Kenya Revenue Authority. Let me tell you, you all know that KRA is the body that is responsible for the collection of all government revenue. And we must give what we are required to give. Let me tell you about who is speaking to us today. Her name is Corazon Aquino. Corazon is a trained tax policy communicator. She has over 15 years experience in training, moderating, creating content for various stakeholders. And so for us, this works straight into us. Throughout her career, she has worked in various regions. So whatever you have, it won't matter the region you're working from. She spearheads the execution of creative and ambitious tax awareness initiatives. Today, it's all about awareness. All these, of course, aimed at increasing tax literacy in Kenya. Corazon, karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Anastasia, and thank you so much to our viewers and listeners today. I'm really looking forward to clarify and just to take you through so that you'll be able to understand and just appreciate the role that KRA plays in building the nation. So feel free to ask any question that you might have. This is your day, and we are so happy to partner with you, Springboard, just so that you can enhance tax literacy to our dear business community. Thank you so much. Back to you, Anastasia.
Fantastic. Asante sana. I think the first thing that people ask, and I know we might not, I don't know if we can cover all of them, but you might mention a few. What are the various and different types of taxes that as a business person, I need to be keen to pay?
Thank you, Anastasia, for that question. So the first thing that I'd like to just mention to us out there is one, it's dependent on the nature of business that you're carrying out. And two, how much is the business making? Those are sort of the parameters that will determine what sort of taxes you're supposed to pay. So the most common tax that you are supposed to pay is income tax. And income tax has been split into several different categories. So we have one which we call the annual regime, which means this one you'll be able to just account for it once in a year. Commonly what people are currently doing right now. I hope we've all filed our returns. If not, please, after this, let's just rush and file our return. So this one, you're expected to account for it at the end of every year as an individual. You can also account for it as a company, which you call it corporation tax. So those are the two categories that we have when it comes to income tax. We have VAT. And VAT majorly is aimed at people who are dealing with goods and services that are VATable. So if you fall under this particular category, we'll expect you to register for VAT and account for it. But the difference between the annual return, this one you do it monthly. So by 20th of every month, we'll expect you to just file, tell us the position, how much you've traded, and what you've charged as VAT. So VAT is an input-output, and I'd just like to stress that when you are a VAT registered business, you act as an agent of KRA. So we'll expect you to claim what you were charged when you're buying maybe your goods so that you can resell the VAT that you're charged. And in turn, when you're selling, also charge VAT. So to that effect, it means the business has not necessarily paid. You've just acted as our agent. You've collected and paid. So VAT will always go hand in hand with the income tax annual regime. So at the end of the day, once you file your VAT every year by 20th, we'll still expect you at the end of the year to now account for any other expenses that you incurred and any other income that you incurred that was not charged VAT on it. So as earlier mentioned, I said we also deal with the parameters. How much have you earned? So there is recently we introduced a tax called turnover tax. And I like that Springboard you mentioned about simplicity. So in the spirit of making taxation simple, we came up with a tax that is called turnover tax. So turnover tax, what happens with turnover tax? You must be earning between 1 million to 50 million. Then you'll be given an option to register as a turnover tax taxpayer. Since it's a simple tax, the rate is at 1%. So at 1%, that is what you're expected to pay. And then you don't claim any expenses. So it's 1% on the gross sales that you receive. And finally, again, I mentioned it's depending on the nature of business. So if you are a person who's in the business of real estate, so we have something that we call monthly residential income and or MRI. This one we charge to any landlord who is getting income specifically from residential from residential entities. So this one also it's simplified and you can pay it at the rate of 10%. So those are just a few of the common taxes that are out there that you can pay. There are plenty, I will not lie, but we'll get to know as we continue. Back to you, Anastasia.
Thank you so much, Corazon. And I think just for insistence sake, I am trusting that everyone has their Springboard Capital notebook ready to write because it was nature and the volume. I think in that you have also answered our second question, which someone was asking, how often would a new business pay tax income? And I think I heard you say either annually or monthly. You want to belabor that a bit?
Yes. So depending on once you establish, maybe you say this is the nature of business that you're dealing with, and this is how much you're dealing with. What we'll do as KRA, we'll advise you which obligation best suits you. So let's say it's turnover. So if it's turnover tax, then we expect you to file your return monthly. So you do it monthly. And when you do it monthly, we expect you to account for it by 20th of the next month. For example, we are currently in May. So come June 20th, I expect you to account for any sales you made for the month of May. It's the same for VAT, the same also for withholding tax. But there are other taxes that I mentioned, the annual ones. So the annual ones, when it comes to income tax, when you are an individual, a sole proprietor business, usually we all have the same accounting period. We just expect for you to file once in a year. And that one you do it from 1st of January to 30th of June. You need to be able to account and file that return. But in an event that maybe it's a sole proprietor business, we encourage the business to pay installment tax. So the installment tax, you'll pay it quarterly. So you just pay, it's just a payment. So you pay it quarterly. And the reason why we encourage this is so that you don't have a bulk of tax to pay at the end of the year. So you just pay maybe 25% of what you anticipate to get as tax. You pay it in quarters. So by the time you are reaching 30th of maybe April of the next year, at least you've already finished and cleared your taxes. So it's all dependent on which type of obligation you have that will determine how the frequency of you filing that return.
Fantastic. Now, we have quite a number of customers in the ICT space. And so there's this question that everyone gets concerned about. Are softwares subjected to VAT and withholding tax, for example?
Yes, they are. And it's dependent. For VAT, that goes for all softwares. So it is a vatable service. Even installation of it is a vatable service. But you realize that when it comes to this software, there are two types of softwares. There is one that you just buy one off and that's it. And then there are others that you have to pay an annual subscription fee. So in an event that you have to pay an annual subscription fee on it, that one will attract withholding tax. So I hope that is clarifies at what point you pay VAT and at what point you pay the withholding taxes.
Absolutely it does. Now, we are ever excited when we hear there is a possibility of a refund. You know, the name refund on its own. Now, what kind of scenarios would one get a refund on tax?
Refund will occur mostly when you've overpaid your tax. And the one scenario that I'd like to mention is you realize we say that VAT is an input output. So it means at some point you are charged VAT, and then when you sell, that is when you charge VAT and get the difference. But there'll be a scenario whereby the person you're selling to is, for example, a privileged person, meaning when you're selling to them, you are supposed to charge them at zero rate, or maybe you're in the business of doing export. So at the end of the day, you will have incurred some VAT on it, but you will not charge VAT when you're selling. So these are some of the scenarios that will bring about the refund situation. Another one is that is common. We'll find that when it comes to income tax, there are incentives that you're given. Maybe you'll be told a common one, maybe which is relevant right now, if you're having mortgage and you did not claim it, mortgage interest on mortgage that you're paying and you did not claiming, when you're filing your return and you decide to incorporate it, you'll find yourself in a refund situation. Or maybe you just did not know that KRA gives incentives and you're just coming to learn about it. Legally, by law, you're still allowed to claim those incentives. So in scenarios where you did not claim these many incentives that are given, and by extension, the incentives even depend on the type of business that you're doing. So when you claim, you'll find yourself in a refund situation. Just as a follow-up question, it's not here. I'd like to just clarify that it is upon me as the person who has the refund to claim this refund. So the process involved is one, I need to file that return. That is the only way that KRA will be able to know that I'm actually supposed to get a refund. So once you file your return, of course, refund is a sensitive matter to everyone. So KRA will do the due diligence, just confirm. So what is bringing about this refund? So once we confirm what is bringing about this refund, KRA will be able to now process the refund. You'll find you're normally told include your either bank account or where you want the money once it's processed to go back to. So that is how the refund process comes. So application, I'm happy to say, we've made it very simple. You'll apply for it via our iTax platform.
We are coming for the refund for sure. Now,
Yeah.
we have a category of customers. We have a category of customers who run businesses, but they are not organized into a group or is not formally registered. So would these ones still declare their income, the individual into the individual tax returns? Is that what they should do?
Yes. So one of the principles, Anastasia, of taxation is fairness. So we have to be fair and just to everyone. So that includes whether or not you are registered. So what happens to this particular category? You call them the sole proprietor business. So when it comes to registration, what KRA will do, they will register you using your own individual PIN number. So when you register with your own individual PIN number, it means we give you an opportunity to enjoy everything else. So if I'm imagining I'm just a sole proprietor business, but I'm running a multi-billion company. You see, and then I say I don't charge you taxes. You see, I will not be fair to everyone. So what we give you is the only difference that occurs is now you will be accounting using your individual PIN number. But using the PIN number, it will give you the option to claim everything. If the incentives to be claimed, you'll be entitled to claim. If I have to prepare my profit and loss account and my book of accountings, you'll still be expected to do that. So when you're filing your return, you'll be able to include it. If we tell you that if you're registered for VAT, for example, and you expect you to file for it by 20th, all this will occur. So it does not, for the mere fact that you're just a sole proprietor, does not prevent you from being a registered taxpayer. Yeah.
All right, definitely very fair and just. And in that spirit of fair and just, let's speak about people with disabilities. Because of inclusivity, we want to ensure that they are also playing, we are giving them a fair opportunity. Are they exempted from some tax?
Yes, persons with disabilities are exempted from tax. And again, back to fairness, you'll realize I might be maybe physically challenged, but again, I'm running a multi-billion-dollar company. So what we do for them is the first 150,000 per month of what they earn is exempt from income tax. So you see the way we calculate taxes at graduated scale. So when I'll be starting for me at 24,000, for them, I'll have to wait for them to earn 174K for me to now start taxing them. So the first 150K for them is usually exempt from taxation. Another, they also have other incentives that they are given when they are importing a car into Kenya. But I'd like to stress that this is subject to, of course, us proving that you're the one who's going to use the car. And then we'll check the parameters. Is it fit for you? So once we get through all this, then you'll be exempted from the import duty as well.
Sounds fair. Thank you very much for that clarity. Yeah. Now, let's take a scenario that somebody withheld more tax than required from, say, a supplier. How would we make that correction on iTax?
I'll look at it twofold. Because, you know, I have withheld, but I realized I've not made any payment yet. Because the way withholding works, I will withhold an amount from you, file a return, withhold an amount from you, but it will not take effective. I've not yet received the, KRA has not yet received the payment. So if that is the scenario, you realize early when you've just filed your return, I'll strongly advise just go back and amend that return. You just go back and amend that return and then make the proper payment so that by the time you're going to make payment, the person will not even know that anything like that happened in the first place. So there's scenario number 2. You've already even gone ahead and made the payments to KRA. So if this is the scenario, it means that KRA already has that extra amount, but the person is the one who suffered. I'll ask you to just come to your closest tax service office so that they can make reconciliation for that, so that at least the proper taxes will be able to be given and the issue will be resolved. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Corazon. For employers, how do we handle casual employees who are paid on a daily basis? Are they should you take out tax on that as well?
I think this comes down to what sort of contract you have between them. You know, you can have a casual employee but running throughout the month, or you can have just one coming one off. It's just today, we are done, I pay you, and that's it. So if this person has just come in today, then you will not charge the tax because they'll be below the threshold. But in an event that it's continuous, maybe I'm casual but for 3 months, definitely you'll need to be able to charge them pay taxes, again in the spirit of fairness. Yeah.
There's some questions coming in as a result of this discussion we are having. Somebody is asking if somebody has a mortgage and so say you pay 70,000 every month on this mortgage, but the rental income you're getting out of that mortgage is say 45,000. Are you still expected to pay for this rental income tax?
When I was describing the type of obligations, I mentioned the income tax annual one, and then I mentioned the monthly rental, because this is a classic example of someone who's earning rent, the monthly rental, monthly residential income. So it comes down to me as an individual. If I am earning, I'm receiving rent that is more than 24,000, automatically, that one is subject to the monthly rental, monthly residential income regime, which will be charged at 10%, but then I will not be allowed to deduct any expenses that I've incurred. Now, this mortgage that you're paying, it's a classic example of an expense. So out of this 70,000, of course, the full amount will not be an allowable expense. We'll only allow the interest that you're paying to 70,000. So what we will do, if you go to the annual regime now, because the annual regime, what the annual regime will allow you to tell us that I earned 45,000 times the 12 months minus what I've paid as interest and mortgage and any other expenses that I will have incurred. Maybe I'm paying an agent to collect this rent on my behalf. And then the difference will be subjected to taxation at the graduated rate. That is 10, 15. Now it's upon you to weigh. Since the law allows you, you'll weigh and say, if this interest on mortgage is minimal, and then here I'm told I can just do it at 10%, and that is a flat rate. Depending on, if you do your math, you are allowed to be on either of the two. If you choose to be on the monthly residential income regime, you stick to it, it's 10%, and you will not be allowed to claim any of the expenses. If you choose to go on the annual regime, then we will allow you to claim the expenses. I hope that clarifies the scenario.
Yes, it somewhat does. And just to say that, should there be people who might have personal questions, we are likely to link them with you so that they can get some proper clarity on the mathematics. Now, everything you're always told, VAT this, VAT that. Are there some goods and services that are exempt from VAT?
Yes, actually have a lot of goods. It's a whole list. So if you want to know what goods and services are exempt from VAT, you'll have to read a bit. Again, comes down to the nature of business that you do, but we've outlined them in our VAT Act 2013. So the first schedule of the Act will, the first part will show you the exempt goods that we have. The second part of the same schedule will show you the exempt services that we have. Maybe just to help you so that you don't read so much, if I can narrow down, most exempt goods will be, you'll find agricultural products in their raw form, raw. Most of them, you'll find them in that list. Medicaments, you'll also find in that list of exempt under goods. Some example of services that you'll find, maybe like transportation. You see the way the matatu transports passengers from point A to B. That one is an exempt service. Burial and cremation services, medical, veterinary, these are all exempt services. Yeah. So this is just to sort of summarize what you will find in that particular schedule. Yeah.
Surprise. I think we should get that list and share it out so that we don't keep hearing VAT is on everything. I think some questions coming through Corazon. We spoke about VAT, and someone is asking, this is Richard, is asking, if a supplier supplies you with some goods and does not charge you VAT, so on the supplier side, they don't charge you, are you obligated to pay for this VAT, and can you be told that you're abetting payment of tax?
Like I mentioned earlier, if you're dealing with VATable services, automatically you're expected to charge VAT on it. for whichever reason, maybe there's the person who's selling to you may be privileged and not entitled to charge VAT on you. So, or you could even be buying I'm registered scenario, for example, I'm registered for VAT. But out of everyone that I'm dealing with, not all are registered for VAT. For example, I'm running a hotel, and out of the hotel, I source my products from Marikiti. So definitely no VAT there. So when I sell and I package and I have all that ambience and I'm selling this food, I will have to charge VAT on it. So when I charge VAT on it, what will be missing will be the input. So there was no input VAT, so I will not claim input VAT. But my obligation, I'm expected to charge output VAT. So please just kindly note that as long as you're registered for VAT and you're dealing with VATable products, you should charge VAT from your end.
Okay, so people should charge VAT as long as they're dealing with VATable products.
And dealing with VATable products and registered for VAT, yes.
There are people, we are seeing a lot of online content, online digitalization, creation of content, and we are all going online. When I earn from my online content, am I expected to pay tax?
Again, I'll still go back in the spirit of fairness. And I'll even ask you, Anastasia. In 2020, you can be rest assured, all business moved to online. And the ones who are not online were really struggling. And according to law, we should charge your source of income, even the deemed ones. It does not matter if we deemed and you're getting, the thing here is, are you getting income from it? So if you're getting income from it, then ideally, tax should be charged on it. So if we can all agree, the way we are moving, everyone is moving to online. So yes, you should definitely be charged tax on it. Since it's fair, it will just depend. The only thing that will change here is the nature of business. So the nature of business, I'll be doing an online business, so I will subject it to either VAT or subject it to the annual income regime. Another thing that I should not fail to mention is we have a tax that we introduced called the digital service tax. And the digital service tax is meant for services that you receive on the online space. And remember, the whole reason why we felt that we should be able to bring this on board is because we have Kenyans who are trading, and they will pay their taxes at the end of the year, whichever way, VAT or the income tax. And then we have a trader who's earning from us Kenyans, but not trading, not paying the tax. So for us to be able to just be fair and not pinch our own businesses, we just decided to expand the tax base and bring in those others that are not necessarily Kenyans to also just pay their fair share through the digital service tax. Yes.
There's Andrew asking, what qualifies one to be in one regime? There's the annual regime as opposed to the monthly regime.
One, the annual regime, this is just for clarification, the monthly rental income is what you're talking about?
Any of the monthly regimes, because there was a regime paying tax monthly and another declaring it, I think, annually.
So for monthly residential income and for turnover, what will determine is how much. So for turnover, you cannot be in this particular regime if you're earning anything below 1 million and anything above 50 million. You cannot be in this particular regime. So first is the threshold. Second, you might opt. We give you an option. We are fair and just, so we'll give you an option because, like I mentioned, we give you an option to weigh. The whole essence why we have these two simplified taxes is so that we make it simple for you. Make it very simple for you to be able to file and just get it over and done with as soon as possible. So if you find that you are incurring a lot of expenses, it will mean that this particular regimes will not be favorable for you. Or if you find that, for example, my nature of business, I incur a lot of input VAT. So there's a lot of input VAT, but since I'm registered for turnover, I'm not claiming any. So it will harm my business. So depending on the business that you do, that is what will determine where you will lie. If you have to claim any expenses, we strongly advise go to the annual regime. If you don't have expenses that you incur, by all means take advantage of the two regimes that are simplified and they have a lower tax rate.
So expenses is the key word for you to look at.
Mm.
Okay, great. Somebody is asking about NGOs. Are there some exemptions that non-profit companies may take advantage of?
Actually, they have they even exempted from income tax, but this is subject to application. You have to make an application, and the whole idea of us making, because everyone then will say that I'm running an NGO. So you'll make an application. Once you make an application, of course, it will go through the proper verification steps. Once we establish that you're really and truly an NGO, then you'll be able to be given that exemption. And the essence and the reason why we give them this particular, these are now some of those incentives that you're talking about. The reason why they are exempt is because of the role they play. They support the government at the end of the day. So for that, just to encourage them and so that they'll be able to build the livelihoods of our own, they get that as an incentive. Yeah.
Corazon, I must say, we'll come knocking. We might need another close-knit forum so that we can see how to get people organizing different landlords together and other sectors together so that we can speak into their businesses directly. Now, finally, are there some common tax mistakes that cost business owners much more that you would probably highlight?
Definitely. The most common one, not filing their returns on time. That one is the most, hands down, the most common mistake that people made. Initially, we used to have issues where someone will put in the wrong amounts and wrong calculations, but that has been greatly sorted out when we now went online, because you'll find that the system will calculate for you. But people fail to file their tax returns. And even when I started, and I'll still stress it, how many of us who are listening today have filed their returns? I wish you could just run a survey. I can tell you for sure, we still have plenty who have not filed their returns. And yet we've given a whole 6 months. We've given you a whole 6 months just to file. You'll find that if you go to, for those who are in employment, the information is already pre-populated, so you really don't have a reason not to file the return. So that is one. You'll find that a mistake that I've seen again is I've filed the return on time just because maybe you've received so many emails from KRA telling you to file the returns. But now what you fail to do, you don't make payments. So I filed the return and then I assume that is it. The tax that I'm supposed to pay, I do not pay. That is one. That is another mistake that people do. Another one is people underdeclare their taxes. This is also very common, and it's partly because they do not understand. For example, you'll find someone is in the monthly residential income regime, and they decide to claim expenses. You see, automatically now, that means that you've underdeclared the taxes that you're supposed to pay. So another thing is just common with VAT. You find that there's the inclusive and exclusive. I will not dwell into it. I will just bring confusion now. But you'll find people don't know the right amount to put in. You find people putting the full amount instead of putting the amount that is exclusive of VAT and then just claiming the VAT amount separately. Those are some of the common mistakes that people don't know. I must admit, people don't understand taxes as much. And that one is what now leads to now us putting erroneous figures, which reflect on the return. Yes.
Thank you so much, Corazon. Your communication this afternoon has been very, very relevant and very, very advantageous to all of us. And so we sincerely thank you. Some parting shot before we go?
Before I go, I'll say it 1,000 times. have you filed your returns? If you have not, please do. Rush, we have maybe you can direct them to our our YouTube page or any of our social media pages. We have a lot of how to file your returns, so that at least you can just do it at the comfort of where you are. Just spare 2 minutes of your lunch break and just file the return. Tell your friends. I don't know if Springboard you'll be open to it. We can share out some links that you can share with them.
Yes.
So that they'll be able to just follow through on how they can file the return. Everything is available for them. Whether I'm a sole proprietor who's supposed to file the return, it's available. Whether I've forgotten my password, that one is available for you. How to even file if I'm an employee, that is also available for them. So mine is just to encourage us. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. We don't want penalties. We don't, honestly, from where we are as Kere, we are contented with the tax that you're supposed to pay, which you've already even paid as at now. We are only calling upon you to file that return, so that if you're in a refund position, make the payment, claim that refund. Actually, it's another mistake that people do. They fail to claim their refund. Claim your refund if you're entitled to it. If there is a budget that you need to pay, you should also pay, so that you do not incur any penalties and interest. Back to you, Anastasia.
Thank you once again. And yes, we are going to be linking, we'll put those links on our pages so that people can be able to access them, because we are all about education. Thank you so much, Corazon. We really appreciate you this afternoon. This is Springboard Capital, which is a lending-only microfinance. We are interested in making sure that your dreams and your businesses remain capitalized and afloat during difficult times. Now, we deliberately seek and establish strategic partners with industry, like you have seen today, to continuously strive to develop you every single day. And thank you so much. And like you have heard, it takes less time to do things right than to explain to Corazon and team why you didn't do it. Thank you very much, everybody. This has been our afternoon. Totally appreciate everyone. We will be putting together your questions, those that have not been answered, so that Corazon and team can be able to answer them, and we'll reach out to you individually. Thank you so much. Have a lovely afternoon. Springboard Capital, the lending hand.